A research defense confirms the credibility and significance of a study through thorough evaluation and expert feedback. It also helps strengthen the researcher's communication skills and professional network, marking an important milestone in both academic and professional growth. The presentation begins with the title slide, which should clearly display the title of the thesis or dissertation. For example, the title of my research is Impact of Workplace Stress on Employee Well-Being. Along with the title, this slide should include the name of the researcher, the supervisor, if required, and the name of the department or institution. It is essential to strictly follow the formatting and content guidelines provided by the respective college or university. After the title slide, the next section is the background of the study. This slide provides an overview of the research topic and explains the context in which the study is conducted. It should briefly describe the industry or field, highlight relevant trends, and justify why the topic is important. The information must be concise, focused, and directly related to the research, avoiding unnecessary details. After the background, the problem statement is presented. The problem statement identifies the core issue or research gap that the study aims to address. It should clearly explain why the problem exists and why it is important to investigate. A well-written problem statement is precise, researchable, and aligned with the objectives of the study, making it one of the most critical components of the entire presentation. Once the problem statement is clearly defined, the next slide covers the objectives of the study. These objectives includes the main objectives and specific objectives. Main objectives describe the overall purpose of the research, while specific objectives break the main goal into measurable and achievable targets that guide the research process. After outlining the objectives, the presentation should define the variables of the study. This includes explaining both dependent and independent variables. For example, workplace stress may serve as the independent variable, refers to the physical, psychological, and emotional strain experienced by employees when job demands exceed their ability to cope effectively. While employee well-being is the dependent variable. Employee well-being refers to the overall quality of an employee's physical, psychological, and emotional health within the workplace. Clearly defining these variables helps the audience understand the structure and focus of the research. The next slide focuses on the literature review, where relevant findings from previous studies are discussed. This section demonstrates the researcher's understanding of existing knowledge, identifies research gaps, and shows how the current study contributes to the literature. Key theories, models, and empirical findings should be briefly summarized, supported by appropriate citations. After the literature review, include the conceptual framework. This is a visual representation of the research model that illustrates the relationship between independent and dependent variables. Include all variables like the mediator and moderator, if any. A clear and simple framework helps the audience quickly grasp the overall direction and logic of the study. The next major component is the research methodology. Begin by specifying the research design, whether it is quantitative, qualitative, or mixed method. Then describe the target population and sample size, including sampling techniques used. This should be followed by an explanation of the data collection methods, such as questionnaires, interviews, observations, or experiments, along with a brief justification for choosing these methods. Next, present the data collection methods. Show how the data for the study was collected. It highlights two main sources. Primary data. This refers to original data gathered directly from participants using questionnaires. It ensures the data is specific, relevant, and aligned with the research objectives. Secondary data. This includes already published information collected from journals, books, and reports. Secondary sources help support the study, build theoretical background, and compare findings with existing research. Next slide include data analysis techniques. Explains the methods used to analyze the collected data in the study. Descriptive statistics were used to summarize the data, such as frequencies, percentages, means, and standard deviations. This helps in understanding the basic characteristics and overall trends in the data. Inferential analysis was applied to test relationships between variables and to examine hypotheses. This allows the researcher to draw conclusions beyond the sample and make generalizations about the population. Statistical software was used to perform the analysis accurately and efficiently, ensuring reliable calculations and proper interpretation of results. After data analysis, move on to the results section. The results should clearly reflect the findings of the study and directly relate to the research objectives. Use tables, charts, and graphs to present the data visually, accompanied by concise explanations that highlight key patterns and outcomes. The discussion section follows the results, where findings are interpreted and compared with previous research. This section explains whether the results support or contradict existing studies and discusses possible reasons for similarities or differences. Next is the conclusion, which should highlight the major contributions of the study rather than simply summarizing the content. The conclusion should emphasize how the research addresses the problem statement and fulfills the objectives. After the conclusion, present the recommendations. These may include practical suggestions for organizations, policymakers, or practitioners, as well as directions for future research based on the study's limitations and findings. Finally, it is important to follow some best practices for an effective defense presentation. Rehearse your presentation with a small audience to gain feedback and refine your delivery. Introduce yourself confidently at the beginning. Avoid overcrowding slides with text and never read directly from them. Use the slides as cues while explaining concepts in your own words. Maintain eye contact, control your speaking pace, and vary your tone to keep the audience engaged. Avoid turning your back to the audience. Position yourself strategically on the stage. Always prepare a backup plan for technical issues, such as printed slides or extra equipment. Dress professionally to create a positive impression and boost confidence. Lastly, anticipate possible questions from the panel and prepare clear, well-structured answers in advance.